Inspector General of Police kicks against state police, proposes merger of FRSC and the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps. Troops kill 2 terrorists in Borno, recover weapons. Court vacates order suspending Abdullahi Ganduje as national chairman of the APC. On the foreign scene, Israeli Army intelligence chief resigns over October 7 attack. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We'll begin in Abuja, where the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, says Nigeria is not mature for state police. Egbetokun said this at a national dialogue on state police organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja on Monday. The theme of the dialogue, Pathways to Peace, Reimagining Policing in Nigeria. The IGP says, was represented by Ben Okolo, an Assistant Inspector General of Police, says the leadership of the force has resolved that the country is not ripe for state police. According to the Inspector General of Police, since the force has made a stand, Nigeria is not ready for the establishment of a state police structure. Egbetokun also proposed that the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps and the FRSC, which is the Federal Road Safety Corps, should be merged to become a department under the Nigerian police. The IGP also says the recruitment of police personnel into the force should be increased by at least 30,000 annually to meet the minimum policing standards as prescribed by the United Nations.
On the issue of state police, it is the submission of the leadership of the Nigerian police force that Nigeria is yet to mature and ready for the establishment of state-controlled police. This is due to the underlying reasons. 1, there is no adequate resources in place for police infrastructure, such as police colleges, training schools, barracks, police stations, clinics, vehicles, communication equipments for the state governments. Again, there are potential for abuse of power by state political leadership. State governors could use police forces under their control for political or personal gain and undermine human rights and security.
Well, staying with that development, former leaders in the country have unanimously agreed that a well-funded and equipped state police can guarantee peace and security across Nigeria. Some say for Nigeria to have an effective and efficient police, areas of concerns raised by stakeholders must be addressed through thorough amendments to the current Police Act. These views were part of a one-day national dialogue on state policing that was organized by the 10th House of Representatives in Abuja. Here's more.
State policing has been in the national discourse for some time now, owing to the high rate of insecurity across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Though successive governments have tinkered with the idea of establishing state police as a way of tackling the constant spate of kidnapping, herdsmen attacks, banditry and other forms of criminality, issues of political hijacking have often stalled the idea. However, the high rate of insecurity in the country has changed the narrative, as most of the stakeholders, including the presidency and past President Goodluck Jonathan, as well as former head of state Abdulsalam Abubakar, giving their nods. While acknowledging that state policing was long overdue, they advised the country to successfully operate state policing by applying the nation's peculiar situation, such as adopting the border force, the coastal guard, and engaging local traditional authorities.
His Excellency, Mr. President, firmly believes that the path to effective security is through adaptive reforms, catering to our diverse nation's unique needs and circumstances. This can only be achieved by carefully reviewing various models and options best suited to Nigeria's context.
I think as much as we are talking of establishing state police, we should also look into the role vis-a-vis of our royal fathers.
You cannot give your police a weapon that will kill at maybe 50 meters range. Then the criminal has a weapon that will kill 100-meter range.
Earlier, the conveners of the National Dialogue, Speakers Tajuddin Abbas and his deputy Benjamin Kalu, explained why the discourse for state policing has become necessary at this critical time in the nation's history.
As we engage, issues to consider may include, but not limited to, the following: the desirability or otherwise of state policing, the time frame for a transition if deemed desirable, suitable model or models for Nigeria that account for context and diversity, appropriate legal and institutional frameworks, essential safeguards against abuse.
We must draw the line because to have functional police, state police, we must have a strong federal police. But let us never forget the power of state police should never be used as a tool of oppression.
Certainly, we do expect and hope that the review of the Constitution that will happen will produce some significant difference in the way that the country is policed. And I think at that stage, we'll all agree that National Assembly would have done justice to this.
To achieve this, we must analyze the current legal and constitutional framework governing policing in Nigeria, discuss necessary amendments for the establishment of state police forces, and ensure checks and balances are in place to prevent any abuse of power.
The theme of the National Dialogue is Pathways to Peace, Reimagining Policing in Nigeria.
Well, still staying with security-related matters, the President, Bola Tinubu, has called for the establishment of a regional counter-terrorism center that will serve as a hub for intelligence sharing, operational coordination, and capacity building throughout Africa. The President made the call while speaking at the African high-level meeting on counter-terrorism in Abuja on Monday.
The President said Africa must take a comprehensive approach to combating terrorism, not only through might, but by addressing the root cause of the scourge, which include poverty, inequity, and social injustice. President Tinubu emphasized that while seeking to address the root cause of terrorism, Africa must also attack the roots that feed it, notably ransom and illegal mining, noting that terrorism evolves and perfects ways to continuously finance, re-equip, and resupply itself for its sinister mission. The President, however, added that the African region must strengthen existing counter-terrorism structures, such as the Regional Intelligence Fusion Unit in Abuja, the African Center for the Study and Research on Terrorism in Algiers, and the Committee of Intelligence and Security Service of Africa in Addis Ababa. He underscored the importance of a regional standby force that includes tackling terrorism as part of its mandate. Speaking at the efforts of Nigeria in beating the MENAC, President Tinubu said the nation's counterterrorism capacities have been enhanced through the enactment of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, establishing the National Counterterrorism Center.
While terrorism troubles us greatly at the moment, we do well by remembering terrorism is not of Africa. We must tell this imported evil that wants to bend and break us, that it shall not succeed.
In his welcome remarks, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu stated that terrorism in Africa is driven by a number of factors, including organized crime, foreign terrorists, financing and training poverty, inequity, prolonged conflict, among others. He said Nigeria is dealing decisively with all drivers of violent extremism, including economic and social enablers, while enhancing intelligence gathering through enhanced interagency collaboration and confidence building with citizens. He also said Nigeria is strengthening its judiciary to effectively deal with cases of terrorism and has embarked a fund to boost counter-terrorism efforts.
Our commitment extends to digital security, with the establishment of the National Cybersecurity Coordination Center to counter the use of our cyberspace by terrorists, but importantly, also adopting the advancement in technologies.
In her remarks, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, suggested that one of the ways to remove the engenderers of terrorism on the continent is for Africa to rebuild its social contract with its citizens and deliver good governance.
Excellencies, it can be said that terrorists are not born, but they're created in environments of social exclusion, inequality, and the relegation of human rights. Terrorism creates instability and causes untold harm, suffering, with women and girls usually bearing the brunt of it, while whole communities are destroyed and our social fabric torn.
Under Secretary General of the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism, Vladimir Voronkov commended Nigeria for its leadership in counterterrorism in Africa and for hosting the meeting.
We, first and foremost, are fighting for ourselves, but we're also undertaking this struggle for the international community, with a view to striking a balance, and that balance is threatened constantly by terrorism. We're not asking for special recognition for that, but please don't lock us away behind financial constraints which make our work untenable and impossible.
The summit has the theme strengthening regional cooperation and institution building to address the evolving threat of terrorism.
In other security-related developments, troops of the Nigerian army deployed for counter-terrorism operations in the northeastern part of Nigeria have killed two terrorists on their way to attack Moshirori village in Borno State. According to a statement by the Department of Army Public Relations on Monday, the feat was achieved in conjunction with the operatives of the Civilian Joint Task Force in a clearance operation. According to the statement, 2 AK-47 rifles, 2 magazines, 58 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition as well as a motorbike used by the terrorists were recovered after the operations. Now, the troops also recovered levy tickets as well as 60,000 naira cash believed to be linked to the terrorists' illicit extortion activities. Staying in Borno State, the Sector 3 of the Multinational Joint Task Force in Monguno says more terrorists continue to surrender to the Nigerian army across the region. Among the latest to lay down their arms were 2 individuals identified as improvised explosive device experts. Statement by the Chief Military Public Information, Jamina, Lieutenant Colonel Abubakar Abdullahi, says the terrorists surrendered on Sunday, April 21st, 2024, marking a notable success in the ongoing campaign to dismantle Boko Haram's operations across the region. Items recovered from the terrorists include 2 IEDs, 2 mobile phones, as well as the sum of 53,000 naira. A little earlier, I spoke to regional editor of Daily Trust in Borno State, Hamisu Matazo, who gave us an update on the recent security developments.
If you can remember very well, sometimes about 2 days ago, there was detonation of explosive device along the same road, and it killed about 6 passengers, wounded many. And at that time, when we spoke to the Assistant Director of Public Relations, Deputy Director of Public Relations of Sector 3, he made mention that they are carrying out sensitization campaign within the area, telling people about the signs they can avoid when they see and report to the military for action. I don't know, maybe it's part of what is yielding result that yesterday we saw the surrender of about 2 bomb experts, and they claim to have been sent by their commanders to plant the explosive. But they feel they cannot beat and went to surrender to the military. Right. So by this we can say it's development, and we can see what the military are saying, that they are doing their best.
Right. And looking at how young these operatives are, what more can you tell us about, the forces that the Nigerian army as well as the Nigerian society is having to deal with, looking at the human resource that the Boko Haram insurgents, the ISWAP insurgents are using?
We have been saying this over and over. The insurgents are attacking innocent civilians, and they have now resorted to planting explosives by the roadside, which even the military had admitted. And this has been happening for a very long time. What we are calling on the military is to look into the issue, because it has become very disturbing, and civilians are mostly the casualties. So by this, we can say that the military is supposed to intensify their operations in areas, especially around the Lake Chad general area, to comb the areas and see how they can rid off the insurgents from there.
Right. And just very briefly on the operations of the multinational joint task force that led to the killing of 2 terrorists in the Moru Shori area. What more can you tell us about that, especially with regards to what was found on the terrorists? We understand that extortion is one of those means they use to stay active, exploiting some of these volatile communities. What more can you tell us about this operation?
I cannot comment much on that because it's something that though they have made they issue a statement over it that the operation was successful, and as journalists I think we need to dig more to see who are the real culprits that were found in the act. Right. And I think that's what we can do for now.
Hami Sumatazli there, speaking to me a little earlier on some of the security developments in Borno State. And elsewhere, the Plateau State government has announced a significant development in its effort to addressing security challenges in the states. Bandits operating in Wase local government areas have reportedly surrendered a substantial number of AK-47 rifles to the state authorities. Brigadier General Gakchi Shipi, the special advisor to the governor, Caleb Mutwang, on security, and the commander Operation Rainbow revealed this information during a press briefing in Jos, the state capital. According to Shipi, the surrender of weapons by the bandits came after a series of negotiations between the government and the bandits in the area. In addition to the AK-47 rifles, various other categories of weapons were also handed over by the bandits to the government. Now, this action is seen as a positive step in the government's ongoing efforts to tackle security challenges and curb criminal activities have been affecting communities in the state. The ultimate aim, according to the government, is to provide relief and safety to residents across Plateau State.
Of course, in the process of the kinetic operations, other weapons were recovered, others were damaged, and so on and so forth. So those ones, I cannot give you the numbers. But then, for the ones that were willingly surrendered, those are the ones in front of you, as you can see. There's no any other one again somewhere, but we are just saying this so that we also encourage those that have decided to toe the path of peace, that were willing and responsive enough to receive them, without any more, fighting or bloodshed.
The Kano State High Court, presided over by Justice Usman Malam Naabba, that gave an order suspending Abdullahi Ganduje as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, has reversed itself and vacated the order. 2 party members, Haladu Gwanjo and Laminu Sani Barguma, who claimed to be the chairman and secretary of the APC Ganduje ward in Dawakin Tofa local government area of Kano State, had secured an order suspending Ganduje as chairman of the APC. However, in a twist of events, the presiding judge of the High Court, Justice Usman Naabba, says while vacating his earlier order, the court took into cognizance reading a motion experte together with a 27-paragraph affidavit in support and a written witness dated April 22nd and sworn by a litigant in the 4th Respondent Solicitors Law Firm. The judge adjourned the matter to the 30th day of April, for hearing on the case. The Court of Appeal in Abuja on Monday did not sit to hear the appeal lodged by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission against the order of a Kogi High Court, which restrained the EFCC from arresting the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello. The Kogi Court, in a ruling on April 17, restrained the EFCC from arresting, detaining, and prosecuting Yahya Bello. The judge, I.A. Jamil, gave the order in a 2-hour judgment delivered in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, on Wednesday this past week. The judgment coincided with the siege of Yahya Bello's Abuja residence by operatives of the EFCC in a bid to arrest the former governor. The EFCC is seeking to arraign the former governor on 19 counts bordering on alleged money laundering, breach of trust, and misappropriation of funds to the tune of 80.2 billion naira. The anti-graft agency, determined to get Bello to face the law for his alleged crime, approached the Federal High Court in Abuja on the same day to get an arrest warrant. The warrant was issued following an ex parte motion filed by the EFCC. The All Progressives Congress in Ondo State has encountered some challenges following its primary elections. The Primary Appeal Committee established for this purpose has disclosed that it has received 3 petitions from aspirants who participated in the exercise. Muhammad Abubakar, the chairman of the 5-member committee, shared this information during a discussion with journalists in Akure. Abubakar, who is also a former governor of Bauchi State, mentioned that the petitions were submitted by Olubenga Edema, Jimmy Odimayo, and Adewale Akinterinwa. These aspirants have expressed their grievances over the alleged non-conduct of primaries in their respective wards and highlighted irregularities in the process. He further stated that the committee's secretary, Obiocha Israel, would be stationed at the temporary office in Akure for the next 2 days to receive additional petitions from concerned individuals. Now, this development underscores the need for transparency as well as fairness in the electoral process, as well as the APC addressing these concerns raised by the aspirants. To Rivers State now, where the State Assembly, under the leadership of Martins Ameule, have made a significant legislative move on Monday. They passed the Rivers State Local Government Bill into law by overriding the governor, Siminalayi Fubara. Initially, the House had passed the Local Government Amendment Bill on March 13 and sent it to Governor Siminalayi Fubara for assent. However, the governor declined to give his assent to the bill. Subsequently, a statement from the media aide to the Speaker, Martins Wachuku, revealed that a 2/3 majority of the House voted to override the governor's veto, effectively passing the bill into law. In another development, the House also conducted screenings and confirmed nominees for the positions of chairman and members of the Assembly Service Commission. On March 22nd, the House passed the Rivers State Assembly Service Commission Amendment Bill into law, granting itself the authority to appoint the Commission's chairman and members. In Makurdi, the Benue State capital, jungle justice is predominantly associated with motorcycle theft, with alleged motorcycle snatchers often becoming victims of vigilante actions. However, some residents of the town condemn this practice, expressing concerns that some victims might be innocent, as they advocate for trials rather than extrajudicial killings. Here's Jimmy Azande with more on the story.
Both the African tradition, Christianity, and the Muslim religion forbid the killing of humans by fellow human beings. To most African cultures, it is a taboo to spill human blood, and the act, done consciously or unconsciously, requires some cleansing. In recent times, it has become common that people are killed often through jungle justice.
Our members, they borrow this bike on a high purchase, and it's not easy for them to meet up the requirements. And you know, as a poor man, before you get a single cocoa, you will suffer for it. Yes. So in the course of doing this thing, to my own side, I would say it's not good.
But many of the folks who carry out the inhuman act ignore or do not appreciate the fundamental human rights of suspects.
When we see there, some young men, two of them, they approached me. One of them asked me to off my machine. While I said no, he said I should off my machine repeatedly. So I heard some persons coming towards us. He now left us.
Also, they do not violate the right of persons that are also assumed to be perpetrators when otherwise have not been declared guilty by any court of law. And just they are sensitive to all of these issues.
The police are calling on Benue residents and Nigerians to reach out to the trained officers with cases of suspected criminals rather than becoming the complainants, persecutors, and the judges.
We are calling on members of the public that there will be no justification for any man to go into crime or to take another man's life. Let us report such cases to the police. If you are able to arrest such suspects, hand them over to the police and they will be handled in accordance with the law.
2 suspected motorcycle snatchers were mobbed to death last week in Makurdi by irate youths. While the situation is being investigated, the residents of the state are urged to desist from taking the laws into their hands, no matter the gravity of the offense one is suspected to have committed. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
You're watching the news hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, finding sustainable job opportunities for women in Jigawa through skills acquisition. We have details of this and many more stories up ahead in just a moment. Welcome back to the news. Let's take another look at our top stories. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has kicked against the creation of state police while proposing the merger of the FRSC and the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps. Nigerian troops have killed 2 terrorists in Borno State, recovering arms and ammunition. The Adamawa State Governor, Amadu Fintri, has pledged the commitment of the state government to rebuilding and remodeling the Yola Main Market days after a devastating inferno destroyed goods worth hundreds of millions of naira. The governor made the announcement during an assessment visit while noting that the market will be upgraded to a more befitting modern facility to accommodate vibrant economic activities. The report.
This is the 4th time the Yola market will be razed down by inferno, resulting in the loss of properties worth millions of naira. Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintri, in an on-the-spot assessment visit to sympathize with the victims in the early hours of Monday, reels out plans to stop the ugly trend. Governor Fintri outlines plans to rebuild the Yola market to a modern one, a project expected to commence next month.
But what I'm assuring them is that this market will be rebuilt. We'll rebuild in a modern way. We'll rebuild with structures that will stand the test of time, that will be fire resistance. This is my assurance to them. And this rebuilding of this market, which is in the capital of Jimeta, in the capital of Adamawa, the center of the commercial city, will be rebuilt in less than 1 month. I'm going to VIA and look at how we can go into emergency to build this market so that they can continue their life in the normal way. Particularly now that we are going through a lot of economic hardship in the country. We will not allow our businessmen to be idle. We will not allow them to suffer for too long. I'm assuring them that with the mandate they have given me, I will use it judiciously to ensure that I alleviate this suffering. I ensure that this market is rebuilt in no time and reorganized in such a way that such an incident would hardly reoccur again in the future.
Apart from rebuilding the market, the governor also promised to support all those affected by the inferno. The leadership of the markets, in their separate remarks, thank Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintri for the prompt response, promising to support the Fresh Air administration.
Allah Ubangiji kuma baka iko yi muna bayan ka 100 bisa 100 Allah Ubangiji ya tattara gwamnatin ka ya kare ta ya kare mu gaba daya Allah kuma ya ba mu zaman lafiya.
With this pronouncement of rebuilding and assisting victims of the inferno by the governor, this is a testament that the Fintiri-led administration is truly the government for the people. Unlike its slogan, no one is left behind and nothing is left untouched.
We head over to Katsina now, where residents of the state have decried the shortage of electricity supply across Katsina, saying the situation has resulted in the collapse of businesses. Abdullahi Yamadi reports that people in many areas across Katsina city are abandoning their businesses due to the epileptic power supply, which has resulted in serious losses. His report.
According to business operators, they hardly get 30 minutes of uninterrupted electricity supply in a day, a situation they said is forcing many out of business, wondering what would have been the problem with the Kano Electricity Distribution Company, KETCO. Welders, restaurant operators, cold room operators, as well as millers are seriously feeling the impact of the epileptic electricity supply, especially in the Katsina metropolis.
The shortage of power has really affected so many businesses. In fact, it affected the whole thing in Katsina State, because you see, like my own business, the restaurant business, you cannot store anything because there is no power. You cannot even, you don't even have cold water to give customers. You see, it's affecting a lot of things.
This problem has compounded our suffering and made life unbearable. Poor electricity supply has led to water shortages at this time that fuel is already beyond the reach of the common man. Today, petrol sells between 750 to 820 naira per liter. What do you expect the common man to do? The suffering is too much. I appeal to the state government to prevail on KETCO to fix whatever needs to be fixed so that residents can enjoy power supply. As it stands, we have been made poor due to the economic downturn at the moment. I don't know where to start from right now, because any business that relies on electricity supply will die a natural death. These frustrated residents who are alleging that the epileptic electricity supply is only peculiar to the city are asking KETCO to explain what is behind the blackout, as residents outside the state capital are not subjected to this untold hardship. In most of the areas, residents spend over 48 hours without electricity supply, despite excessive heat from harsh weather conditions reaching up to 42 degrees Celsius at the moment.
What is available for KETCO, what we are expected to be allocated from the national grid is the 268. But as of today, 22nd, I can tell you what we actually receive from the transmission through, from the embed through transmission is 182.
This unhealthy electricity supply is subjecting residents to untold hardship, forcing many to seek alternative sources of power, while others are left finding relief under trees during the day. The situation has also affected almost every sector in the city, especially water suppliers, with a jerrycan of water selling between 100 to 120 naira only. Public commentators in Katsina are asking the state government to get to the root of the problem, as businesses are collapsing and pushing many to adverse conditions. Abdullahi Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Authorities of the Nigerian Army on Monday dismissed 2 of its soldiers who were caught vandalizing and stealing armored cables at Dangote Refinery in Lagos. The suspects, identified as Corporal Innocent Joseph and Lance Corporal Jacob Gani, were arrested by the private security guards and other soldiers of the Nigerian Army. They were subsequently taken into the custody by the Nigerian Army Authority for investigations and trial, and where the two suspects were said to have been allowed to present their own side of the case. Given an update on Monday at the Army headquarters, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Army, Onyema Nwachukwu, says the duo were found guilty of abandoning their duty post during the investigations that were carried out by the Nigerian Army. Nwachukwu explains that the suspects failed to perform their duties in line with Section 57, subsection 1 and other civil offences, adding that by flouting military laws, it is punishable under Section 114, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Armed Forces Act and the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, he said the duo were subsequently dismissed with immediate effect and handed over to the appropriate authorities for further prosecution in order to serve as a deterrent for other security operatives in the country. Women in Jigawa State have found a sustainable way to empower themselves economically through traditional cap making. The traditional craft has become a source of income and pride for many women across Jigawa State. Ali Rabiu met with these local cap makers and sent in this report as presented from our studio.
Women in Shuarin community of Kiawa local government area of Jigawa State have formed groups to produce caps made from cotton fabric. The caps, which are highly sought after by men in the region, are worn as a symbol of cultural identity and considered an important part of traditional attire, as well as an economic opportunity for women.
Yes, most of the people that used to patronize us are women, more especially within the age range of from 12 to up to 25 to 26 years old. Even though there are some older women that also into this business of sewing cap, but for now, the young ladies have overcome all the people that used to buy our products in sewing this cap. You can see them walking around. Some of them, they are even perfect that as they are walking, they are also sewing the cap.
Amina Sani is a 17-year-old local cap maker from Andaza community in Kiawa local government area of the state. She says this business gives her independence as she is able to earn a living, but not without some challenges. This business has brought me fortune as I bought many things including goods, utensils, makeup materials among others. I also support my parents from the proceeds, but the major challenge we are facing is rising inflation and cost of materials. I embrace this business in the absence of a more lucrative occupation that will bring me more money than cap making. I used to finish a single cap in 4 weeks' time or in 3 weeks if I am less busy, and from the proceeds I buy home appliances and my makeup kits ahead of my marriage. The thriving cap-making craft in Jigawa State has helped to preserve the cultural heritage of the region, as men feel incomplete without caps in terms of dressing in traditional attire. Despite facing challenges such as inflation and material costs, these entrepreneurs find a way to keep going through resilience and determination.
If our government, more especially in the northern part, because we are the ones that traditionally make use of this cap, if our government would be able to establish the companies that can supply us with this trade, I believe the cost of the trade, it will be lesser. And also, it has to do because this trade is 100% cotton. So cotton production can also enhance the availability of the trade, and establishment of the companies will also help in stabilizing the market.
I sell the caps at Shuarim Market for about 6,000 or 5,500, but I hope the cost of materials will reduce so more people can buy our caps. As the demand for these caps continues to resonate with local identity, the hope is that the support from the government will ensure the sustainability and growth of this significant industry within Jigawa State.
To Lagos, where residents and motorists in several parts of the state and Ogun State were on Sunday left stranded due to the hours of intense rain, with major roads overrun by flood waters. It was also reported that the entire road was overrun by waters at Mobile area in the Agege region of Lagos State, making it impossible for drivers to travel through the flooded area to reach their respective destinations. Residents also say, as well as road users, were however lamenting the development while describing it as a regular sight during this time of the year. The affected areas are Agege, Akowonjo and Egbeda areas of Lagos and Maegun Junction area of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Akute, Loto, Pakuro, Ijere and others in Ogun State.
What we met here yesterday afternoon, immediately rain is about to start. We just hear boom, this pole begin to collapse. And we find out that the ring, even the iron they use to do this big pole is very too tiny, 10 mm and 12 mm, which is not supposed to use for this kind of structure. And you can look the mm, look at 10 mm, look at the other one is 12 mm. And that is what they use to do this big pole. For instance, that if you see entered my shop, look at my shop where I reside and I sell television. Assuming now that the thing goes here, what will I start doing? And this is what I used to feed my family. I have about 12 children at home. What will I say? Where will I start from? Assuming now that this thing goes this way and make this all these things like this, what will I now do? It's only the vehicle that is spoiled. The sports vehicle, but thank God there's no life lost.
All right, time now to bring you up to date with the latest in business. Here's Yusuf Akogo with the latest.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogo. There are strong indications that domestic airlines operators may reduce ticket price for passengers due to the imminent supply of aviation fuel, otherwise known as Jet 1, by Dangote Refinery. With operators looking at a possible crash in the price of Jet A1, passengers might experience a drop in airfares. The Managing Director of Aero Contractors, Captain Ado Sanusi, said although the prices of Jet A1 had been steady, airlines will appreciate the price decrease. The 12 airlines led by Air Peace in February 2022 jointly agreed to increase airfares by 100% to meet operational costs. The federal government said on Sunday that it is planning to float a diaspora bond to attract funds held abroad by Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, disclosed this at his wrap-up media briefing at the end of the 2024 spring meetings of the IMF and World Bank in Washington, D.C. He said it is certainly one of the ways to increase supply of foreign exchange and investment in the country. According to him, Nigeria has also qualified for the processing of a total package of World Bank $2.25 billion loan, close to a grant for 40 years, moratorium of 10 years, and about 1% interest. The minister said the spring meeting presented an opportunity to engage the international audience on a global stage. Now, the Nigerian equities market opened the week positive as investors renewed interest in medium-cap equities. Let's see how it went down today. We see a lot of positive performance there from medium-cap stock like Japo Gold, that gained 9.58% to close at 1.83 kobo per share. Jitco also up there 9.55%, 36 naira and 70 kobo per share. It gained on the day. FTN Cocoa also gained 8.76% to close at 1 naira and 49 kobo per share. Of course, this has push up the market a little bit though. A marginal gain, you will say 0.17%. Volume up to 306.620 million shares. Their value at 5.300 billion naira in a days of 8,298 did exchange hands among investors at the close of the market this Monday. Of course, some equities also did well in terms of making market movers, we call them. Jitco leading that table with 50.157 million shares. Access Corporation 48.067 million shares. Of course, UBA also did 41.747 million shares at the close of business today. Of course, some equities ended up on the losing side of the market. Leading that table is TPLC down 10% to close at 1 naira and 80 kobo per share. Prestige, an insurance company, down 9.84% to close at 55 kobo per share. Of course, Omatech also down 9.52% to close at 76 kobo per shares there at the close of business this Monday. That's the highlight of the stock trading as it went down this Monday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market for today. Naira maintained relative stability at the forex market as inflationary pressures persist. Let's see today's data. Finally, in business, global benchmark Brent slipped on Monday as traders turned their focus back to inflation, with tensions in the Middle East having so far left actual oil supplies unperturbed. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $86 per barrel. For the oil basket, price drops to $87 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogun.
To developments on the international scene, Israel's military intelligence chief has resigned after taking responsibility for the failures leading to the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, according to military statement on Monday, as Israel carries out more shellings in Gaza. Now, General Haron Haliva is the first top Israeli official to step down for failing to prevent the Hamas attack on October 7, which triggered the war on Gaza and brought the government and military under intense scrutiny across Israel. Haliva is, in his resignation letter, says the intelligence division under his command did not live up to the task they were entrusted with. Israel has meanwhile lashed out at reports that its top ally, the United States, is considering sanctioning the military's ultra-Orthodox Netza Yehuda battalion over alleged human rights abuses in the West Bank from before the war on Gaza. People in Burundi are struggling to cope with flood waters after months of heavy rains and hundreds of thousands being displaced and many homes as well as schools damaged. The rains have resulted in a high in the level of water in Lake Tanganyika, rising considerably, causing chaos for communities living along its shores. Lake Tanganyika's rising waters have invaded the port of Bujumbura, Burundi's economic capital, disrupting business operations as well as other activities across the country, while climate change is said to be the trigger. The impact of the flooding is exacerbated by poor land use planning that does not take into account areas at very high risk of flooding, according to an official statement. The United Nations estimates that since September, over 200,000 people have been displaced by flooding as a consequence of El Niño weather phenomenon. With forecasts predicting above normal rainfall until May, the government has appealed to the international community for financial assistance to deal with the impact of the flooding. All right, let's talk sports now. Here's today's latest with Emmanuel Fashemi.
The technical advisor of Rangers International, Fidelis Lechuku, has described his side 2-0 loss to Rivers United in March dated 1 MPFL fixture played at the Adokia Masimaka Stadium, Port Harcourt, as bad day for his team in office. In a post-match chat, Ilechuku stated that the encounter between the two former league champions was a good game, but the advantage of height enjoyed by his opponent and the nature of the pitch denied his wards the opportunity to play their usual free-flow match. A goal in either half of the highly entertaining fixture saw the pride of Rivers pick the maximum point at stake as Alex Oyowa nodded home on 34 minutes of a cross from Keze Enyinaya as Deputy Echeta sealed the win on 79 minutes after a quick interchange of passes. Despite the loss, Rangers maintains its hold at the top of the 20-team log with 54 points and will next play Plateau United on Sunday, April 28, 2024 inside Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu State. The Nigerian Football Federation on Monday announced the commencement of a football awards that will recognize, celebrate, and reward the best players and coaches in the Nigerian game on a monthly basis. These awards meant to further generate, enable, and inspire positive conversations around the Nigerian game at home and abroad will feature 7 categories in its initial format, highlighting the contributions of players and coaching staff across the beautiful game. The NFF Awards will not only recognize and honor individual excellence, but also provide valuable sponsorship opportunities, potentialities, and possibilities, allowing companies and institutions to support the development, growth, and sustainability of the Nigerian game. With a focus on celebrating achievement and sector-wide accomplishments, fostering meaningful and fruitful fan engagement, showcasing Nigerian football on the global stage, and keeping conversation on the Nigerian game permanently on the front burner globally, the NFF Awards project promises to be a cornerstone program for the sport in the country. The NFF projects that the award and the robust conversation that it will generate online and offline will contribute immensely to the new drive and efforts to reposition the country's domestic leagues and ultimately engender steadfast interest of private sector in the Nigerian game. According to the NFF, further details on the awards, including categories, nomination process, and launch date, will be released in the coming weeks. And that is what I am Emmanuel Fashimi.
And that is the size of our bulletin for you tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. We do appreciate your time and company. Do well to follow us across our social media platforms to stay in touch and keep up with our content across our various social media platforms. Also, check out our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news and documentaries. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us tonight.